Welcome. My name is Mike Sauter, and this is Study Skills with Kurzweil. You are joining into a webinar series on all of a lot of the features that Kurzweil has to offer. Um, Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get started. Now, we are using Kurzweil 3000. Kurzweil 3000 is a wonderful reading program. I'm sure you're familiar with it already. You've been using it for a while. But for today's webinar, we're just going to cover a couple of things, keep things simple. So we're going to start off with the basics of Kurzweil. We're just going to do a refresh on what Kurzweil does as its basic core feature, reading with audio, reading of your textbooks. From there, we will move on to building a study guide using highlighters, using the highlighters that are built into the program. I'll show you a couple different ways that you can build pretty unique and customizable study guides. I'm also going to show you what the notes and sticky notes tools do and how you can use them to also build study guides or flashcards, things like that. And then lastly, we will cover saving all of our work and saving it to new locations and different locations so that you can keep things organized. So let's jump right in to Kurzweil. So to access Kurzweil, we are going to be using the web version of Kurzweil for this training. You all have access to the web version of Kurzweil 3000, and we are going to start by logging into our user account and getting into our Universal Library. Ooh, I did want to. I am going to turn on the captionings as well. There we go. Okay, so now we are in the Universal Library of the Kurzweil account. This should be familiar to you. We have the Universal Library, which shows you your account folder with these three default folders: the private, public, and recently opened local files. Now, all of our textbooks are located within the private folder. Clicking on one of the textbooks should pull up your chapters. Please let me know if you're not seeing anything or if the screen share somehow doesn't work. I'd appreciate any kind of feedback. You can just throw it in the question and answer if you do notice anything. You can adjust the size of the screen. So if you want to see less of me, there's a little slide bar next to the share screen, and you can move it over, or you can move it the other way. It's up to you. So I'm just going to open up chapter 2 here. Okay, chapter 2. So to go through the basics here, we're just going to locate all of our tools for reading. You should be familiar with these, so bear with me as I go through these basics. So right here in the top middle of our screen is our first toolbar, which is our reading toolbar. And if I hover over that middle triangle, you should see that that is the read button. So to start the reading in audio, you just click that read button. Notice that there's also a P in parentheses. That is a hotkey. So you can use your keyboard to start and stop reading just by using the P and the keyboard. There is a icon that will allow you to turn off the audio reading if you so choose. That means it will still read and still highlight, but you just won't hear any of the voice. Next to that, we have this icon that looks like a speech bubble. That is the speech to text feature. Now, we're not going to touch on that in this session of the webinar, but we will get to that in future sessions on how to use the speech to text, which is really quite wonderful. Okay, moving over to the left, our first icon on the left-hand side is our document view. The document view will allow you to adjust the document that you're looking at, this chapter we're looking at right now. The first item on the document view is our thumbnail view. Now, this is a really powerful tool. I love the thumbnail view because what it allows you to do is see your chapter as thumbnails. So you can see each one of your pages as a little thumbnail. This allows you to quickly scan through the document. If you're looking for a particular chart or graphic or perhaps a section that you need to jump to, all you have to do then is just click on the page that you want to jump to and it jumps right to that page. Again, that's found under the document view, thumbnail view icon. And then just click on the page to jump to. So let's jump over to page 2. Also under our document view is this really handy tool that allows you to adjust the size of your screen. So if you have a nice big monitor on your desk or a small little laptop, you can use this to adjust the size of your text. Fit to width means that it will actually snap to as wide as it can go. So it'll take advantage of whatever size screen that you have if you just click fit to width. You can also rotate the pages if you need to. For most of the books that we offer to you, the pages should already be rotated the right way, but if they aren't for any reason, you can flip them. Now, the background color drop down allows you to change the background color of the document that you're looking at. And what this it has is some advantages in screen contrast, text contrast, maybe soften the color to help with eye strain, maybe go with some grays or slates to kind of mute the color, especially if it's really bright or if you've been reading all day long and your eyes are really tired. Below that, we have the download format. Now, this is really wonderful that you have the ability to download this file to your computer, and it gives you different options. Now, the KES is the Kurzweil file, so that will only open up in the Kurzweil program. But you can also convert all of the text in your Kurzweil file into a Word document, and that will download onto your computer as a Word document, so you'll have all of the text. Rich text and plain text basically strips out formatting for a Word document. And then we have PDF and PDF text only. PDF will retain all of the graphics and all of the colors and all of the layout as an image PDF. PDF text will actually strip out all of those formattings and put it in a text-based PDF, but it may look a lot different than what you're looking at. So if you didn't know that you could download these files to your computer, that is how you do it. And you can also use our print feature and the set document password and lock features. You really shouldn't need to touch those. Those will probably do more harm than good. If you lock yourself out of this document, then you can't get back to it. That is the document view. To the left of the document view is the audio options. Now this is where you can change the voice and the speed of the reading itself. Built into the program are these wonderful voices, female and male voices. They all have a little different pitch, a little different tone. Finding the one that really fits for you is, I think, really important. Notice there are other languages, meaning this will actually read those languages. So if you have a Spanish book, it'll read in Spanish. You just have to change to the Spanish voice. If you try to read the Spanish book in an English voice, it will sound horrible. It just doesn't work. So let's go with Will for our demo here. Below the voice settings is the speed setting. So this will change the default speed for that voice, plus or minus. Most voices sound really nice on normal speed, but you can make that adjustment there. As a default, the skip reading headers and footers is enabled. It does an okay job of skipping that, but when we edit the book, we also remove the headers and footers as well. Okay. Speak as typing. This is an area that you can turn off and on at any time, and this allows Kurzweil to read back to you what you're typing, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later in the training. The unit, right here, the unit allows you to change how Kurzweil reads to you and how it highlights to you. So when it's reading out loud, it'll highlight and read, and you can change how much it highlights through these settings here. The default is sentence. Paragraph is also pretty nice too. When you go lower than that, it does get a little choppier. The mode is set as a default for continuous, so it will read continuously from sentence to sentence, paragraph to paragraph, page to page. Self-paced allows you to, it will stop automatically at the end of whatever unit is selected. Oops. And word by word, again, is real choppy. So only if you really need to focus on one word at a time would you select that. And then as a default, this is not selected, stop reading at the end of page. But if you wanted it to stop at the end of each page so that you can gather your thoughts or maybe make notes, you can have that selected. That way it will stop and allow you to do those things. Okay, so with all of our settings, let's go ahead and listen to what Kurzweil sounds like real quick, just to refresh ourselves. But if you are doing your work, you're probably well aware of what it sounds like.
Being right here, right now is such a simple idea. It seems obvious. Where else can you be but where you are? When else can you be there but when you are there? The answer is that you can be somewhere else at any time, in your head. It's common for our thoughts to distract us from where we've chosen to be. Sometimes technology becomes the source of distraction. The arrival of every new text message, Facebook update, or email comes with an attention-grabbing alert. When we let this happen without conscious choice, we lose the benefits of focusing our attention on what's important to us in the present moment.
I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. What I love about the reading feature is that it will automatically scroll through the document. So even though we have it on a pretty high zoom here, notice that it did scroll down. It also will scroll across too. So if you have this set at a really high zoom, where not all of the text can be visible on the screen at the same time, Kurzweil will still, let's get the, there we go. We'll still track and scroll.
To be here now means to do what you're doing when you're doing it. It means to be where you are when you're there. Students consistently report that focusing attention on the here and now is one of the most powerful tools in this book. We all have a voice in our head that hardly ever shuts up.
Okay, so just like that, does a really good job of tracking. Okay. So that is the basics for reading with audio. I always like to show this tool when I am talking about reading with audio. It is the built-in dictionary tool. So with any word in your book, you just simply click on it, you have the cursor in front of it, and then up on the top right is this reference icon for the built-in dictionary. That there's a dictionary, a picture dictionary, a thesaurus, and a translator. So you can translate it to other languages like Spanish or French. So with the definition, you can see the definition right there. You can listen to the definition just by clicking on the play button. You can also choose a different dictionary. American Heritage, College Writers Dictionary, and so forth. picture dictionary may be hit and miss. Okay. You can also define words within the definition. So, how many times do you see a definition that comes up and you're like, what? Well, you can actually choose a word within that definition and define that and define and define. So it does go layers deep, which is really nice. Okay, that is the basics for the reading. We are next going to shift gears over to our highlighters. Let's see if we can follow along. Next, building a study guide using highlighters. Okay, this is an example of a highlighted page, and we are going to do recreate that same setup now. Okay, back to our book. So the highlighting toolbar can be found on the left-hand side of the screen in this row of tools. And there's the third one down. It looks like a highlighter, and as you hover over it, it will tell you that it's the highlighters. So one click will pull up the toolbar. Now, within the toolbar, the first thing you probably notice is the colors of the highlighters. As a default, the color highlighters that we have are yellow, green, blue, pink, orange, and gray. Now, those highlighters are set in that order, and they actually have an order of importance or hierarchy. So the first color, yellow, is our top level highlighter. And green, blue, pink, and so forth go down in the level. If you've ever outlined a chapter or outlined a subject, you start with your top level, and then you have your supporting levels, your details, and so forth as you go down. A lot of times you'll see that with a little indentation. Well, the highlighters are set up as a default to give you that same experience. And I'm going to show you a couple different ways that we can use these highlighters. The first way is to use a traditional outlining method. Okay, so the traditional outlining method requires you to identify on your own what is the main topic and what are the levels below that. So let's start with yellow. So just by clicking on the yellow highlighter, we now have the icon change for the cursor to the yellow highlighter. And so now anywhere that you select and scroll across will be highlighted in yellow. And I'm going to highlight, for our purposes here, this first paragraph in yellow. Now, underneath that top heading, we have the next level down, right? So as we're looking through our chapter, it's like the section breaks, right? Maybe, your book will be section 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. That may be where you want to highlight in the next level down green. For our purposes here, we're going to choose green to be our next paragraph, a couple of sentences out of our next paragraph. And I'm just clicking and dragging. Now, if I accidentally dragged and highlighted too much, I can use the erase tool. And now I can erase one or two words that I may have highlighted too much on. Back to our highlighter. Click the new color, blue, so I can highlight items in blue. Now for most outlines, 2-3 levels down is probably about as much as you may need. Let's go with one more level down, our pink. And what I'm going to use the pink for is all of those term words, vocabulary words, words that I may need to define or use for flashcards later. I'm going to put those all in pink. Now, do I have to do that just below our other colors? No, I can actually put those anywhere that I see one of those term words. Okay. Now, the highlighters, they will save automatically. So when I'm on this page, I can see all my highlighting that I've done here. But if I'm going to go to the next page to continue my highlighting, it has already saved that highlighting on the previous page. So I can go on to the next page where I can continue my highlighting following that same scheme. Using my pink. And that is looking pretty good there. So let me go back to the previous page, just so I can show you that, yes, my highlighting is still saved. Now, does anyone have any questions on what I've just touched on there? If you do have any questions, just pop them in the Q&A box. Okay, so hearing no questions, what we're going to do next is these highlighting it's wonderful that we can see them, right? So next time I open up this chapter, I can see my highlighting colors. I can go back to them. I can read or focus just on that highlighted text. But this is about building a study guide. This is about building something outside of our textbook, something that we can use to help study the material. So what we can do now with this highlighted text is we can extract it. Now, the extraction tool can be found on the same highlighting toolbar. On the very end, it's this orange icon. If I hover over it, it will tell me that exactly what it'll do. It'll extract the notes and highlights. So I have highlights that I want to extract in this file, in this chapter, right? So I'm going to click Extract Highlights and Notes. It gives me a quick little box that says, please click OK to extract notes, highlights, bookmarks from this document into a study guide. Note that doing so will take a few moments, and that on completion, you will be taken to a new document with your extracted study guide. So let's click OK. And it is going to scrub through this whole chapter. It's going to find all that text that's been highlighted, and it's going to take it to a new document. And you can see this new document has all of the text from those 2 pages that I had highlighted. So here is our study guide, taken directly from the book using our highlighting. Couple things to note. This is a working document. This is just like a Word document or a Google Doc. You can edit this document. You can change it. You can add things to it. You can print it and you can save it. Okay. Let me show you. First off, on the very top, it has given itself a name. So Kurzweil gave it a name. It's called Extracted Outline Underline 8. Right. So this is an extracted outline that it's pulled out, and it's given it a default name already. Okay. Now, if I do nothing with this outline right now, and let's say I close it, I've done my studying, I've done my reading, and I've made my outline, and I just need to get some rest now, and I want to come back to this tomorrow. If you do nothing at this point, this will have saved as extracted outline 8. Okay. But if you do add any changes to it, you should note the save icon on the top left, that you must save any changes that you've made. And the simple way to do that is to just use the Save Document icon. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and make some changes. And like I said, this is a working document. It shows exactly what page the text was pulled from. So we can see our page number 2 that we had, all the text pulled from there. Page number 3, all the text we had pulled from there. Notice that the levels, the yellow is given that top level, and the outline format given that Roman numeral 1. Second level was A, third level was lowercase a, and so forth. So we have that default outline scheme. Okay. Now within this, you can add more text. You can fully, expand your thoughts on what that you have pulled out. Maybe put it in your own words. All you have to do is just simply type into the.
The answer is that you can be.
So you just have to type right into the document, and it will read out loud.
Type right into the document and it will read out loud.
Right, so this is Kurzweil. Kurzweil reads things out loud. So notice that it is reading what I'm typing out loud. I said that we were going to come back to this. So let's go back up to the audio options. Under that tool, you can see here, speak as typing, I have whole sentences selected. So when I write a whole sentence, which means I end it with a period or a question mark or an exclamation point, and I either hit the space bar or the return key, it will read back that sentence. This is a wonderful way to proofread as you're writing. You can have other elements like each character being spoken out loud. That may be a little much. Or maybe each word as you finish each word. But whole sentence is a really great setting to have, just so that you can hear exactly what you have typed. And if you have any kind of misspellings, it will read it as a misspelling. So you'll probably hear that the word is misspelled. All right, so let's do that again.
Anything that you write will be spoken out in the program.
Well, that didn't sound right, did it? So you can hear right away that I do have a couple of misspelled words, and so we can see here WRTIE. I'm supposed to have right in there, but I misspelled it accidentally, a common mistake. So I can change it.
Anything that you write will be spoken out in the program.
Oh, again, spooking.
Anything that you write will be spoken out in the program.
That sounds a lot better. So it's a great way to proofread your writing. Okay. Remember that our pink highlighting, we had pulled out just vocab words. Well, with this vocab word, remember we have our dictionary, a built-in dictionary. So the top right of the program, our icon for the references, scroll down to dictionary, and if my cursor is on the word, it'll look the word up and give me a definition. Now here, the definition, I can just simply highlight it and I can copy it. And if I copied it, maybe I want to paste it. So now I'm adding some real value to the study guide. I'm pulling out definitions for words that I need to define. Maybe I can put it in my own words. Once I have that textbook definition, I can maybe put it in a frame or a way that I want to remember it, right? Or maybe the way the teacher said, okay, I know the dictionary says this, but what we're referring to it as this. And we can do that with just about any word. Well, I don't know about this word, attention grabbing. Let's see if it pulls anything. Nope, it wasn't able to find attention grabbing. But as individual words, I'm sure it could. Yeah. Let's pull up experiment. Let's see what that looks like. Good, so we can pull up that definition. Do a quick copy and paste. And now we're building our study guide. Now the highlighting, notice the highlighting did carry over. You can erase that highlighting if you so choose. Just go back to your highlighting toolbar, use the erase icon, and you can erase that highlighting as well. Wonderful. Okay, so now I've got a great study guide. I've added a lot of information, and now I want to make sure I save it. So let's go up to our save icon, click on the save icon, and it gives me a nice little message that the document has been saved. But where did it save it to? Right? It is saving it into your Universal Library, into one of your folders, and we will go there and look for this outline. Okay, any questions about this part, this study guide? I did mention a few things, a couple things that, oh yeah, this toolbar here on the top. We do have ways to change the text. You can bold it, you can align it. You can also change the font and the size. Within this document as well, we can perform a spell check. The spell check icon is found in this gear box called Tools. And just by clicking on the ABC icon, it'll run through and do a quick spell check, find anything that it sees as suspect, and give you that familiar little squiggly line. Our spell check dialog box here on the right allows you to scroll through and look at all the words and decide if I want to ignore it or just move on. Email, change it. So it gives me ideas to change it to. So attention, it's asking, oh, there's a little dash there. Do you want that dash? Do you not want that dash? No, I want to change it to attention. It's a really nice way to go through and spell check. Text box, it's just asking, do I want to separate those two words, keep them together? I think I'm going to keep those together. So there we go. A little quick spell check, and then we can just close the spell check box. Okay. I did do some changes, so I'm going to save my document again. Excellent. Okay, so let's go back to our chapter. And we're going to touch on one more set of tools before I go to the file management and organization part. Okay, so I'm just going to use my little hamburger icon on the top. Kurzweil gives us this nice little drop down for recent files. And recently I was on chapter 2. So it should jump back to chapter 2. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's see. What is next? So we just went over study guides with highlighters. Next up is a study guide using the notes and sticky notes. Okay, using the notes and sticky notes. Kurzweil has some tools called notes. They are sticky notes. There we go. And text notes. So we are going to go through how to use those next. Okay. For this next demonstration, I am going to delete or erase all of my highlighters just so I can get a clean document. Excellent. Oh, one's left. Okay. So the notes, I'm going to reduce this size a little bit. There we go. Okay. Underneath the highlighting toolbar is the notes toolbar. Now, notes, there are actually 3 different ways to create notes on your textbook. And this is like as if you were going to write in the margins of your book, right? Or literally use sticky notes, those little yellow sticky notes, and add notes on your textbook, in case you don't want to write in the book because you wanted to resell it. Well, Kurzweil gives you that same ability. Now, within the notes dialog box here, you see 2 main notes here, the sticky notes and text notes. Okay, there is a third one. It's called bubble notes, and we're not going to touch bubble notes. Bubble notes are pretty similar to what the text notes and the sticky notes are, but they're really it's designed as an instructor tool that, if instructors were using Kurzweil, they can add in these bubble notes into the book as you're reading it, and they would pop up as you're reading, gives you prompts and things like that. A lot of times you see younger grades using the bubble notes where the teachers are actually supplying a book to the entire class. Here at college, most of the instructors have not signed on to that yet. So let's go through ways for you to create your own notes. I'm going to start with sticky notes. Now, a sticky note is added to the page by simply clicking on this yellow plus key. And we can see my cursor now has a little yellow sticky note dragging along with it. And wherever I click on this page, a little sticky note appears. This sticky note can be resized. And the cursor is flashing because it's ready for text. Okay. Notice my cursor still has that little sticky note following it around. Okay. I want to make sure, like if I clicked one more time, it would add another sticky note. For me, that's a little annoying. It is what it is, but I can delete any unwanted sticky notes by using the delete key. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I change back to my little finger, my little pointer. Okay, so there's the icon. So sticky note, what is it used for? It's for writing in the book, literally writing in the book. You can simply go to your text and without using a highlighting color, just using your mouse, drag over text. Do a temporary highlight and then literally just drag and drop it. So do you need to pull out passages from your book that you're going to quote? Do you need to pull out large sections of text that you want to use in an essay, right? Or do you want to find answers to questions that the instructor has given you as kind of prompts in the reading? The sticky note is a great way to keep these things separate from maybe your highlighting, right? So if you have highlighting already in the book and you don't want to mess up what you have there, these sticky notes allow you to kind of keep things separate. Okay, and you can add as many of these notes to this page as you want. Back to my finger. So let's say the instructor has given you a prompt, right? That is, a list of questions that you're have to be looking for in the book. And so you can use the sticky notes as a way to keep those answers separate. So let's say the question is, name the main things that cause distraction while reading. So the instructor has given you a prompt.
Name the main things that cause distraction while reading.
Again, Kurzweil will read it out loud. And then as we go through the reading, We see here, oh, there's a voice in our head. The hardly ever shuts up. I'm going to grab and drag that. Then we can say, oh, there is my phone. Where was that one? Phone, attention grabbing alerts, Facebook, text message. Yep, those all cause me to be distracted when I read. So I can grab those as well.
We all have a text message, Facebook update, or email comes with an attention grabbing.
So you get the idea, right? We can just grab any text that we want and drag it in there. Now, like I said, these keeps things nice and separate. We can get them out of the way once we have them answered so that they don't distract us anymore. The other note is the text note, and I'll be honest, it does very much the same thing as the sticky note does. It gives us a little note.
You can write in it.
Right? And you can do the same thing. Oops, I got overzealous. Let's go back to my finger. And we can, again, just grab text and drop it in. Let's say you wanted to also use these as definitions. The definition like the flashcards. So let's take this note here that we have down here. And for this one, let's find that word that we want to define. Let's
Technology.
drag that into our text box, come up to our dictionary, click on the definition, grab the definition. I can copy and paste it. I believe I can also drag and drop it. Yeah, look at that. How fun. I can drag and drop it. And now I have a text box with my definitions, right? So like I said, I can add as many of these text boxes as I want to this page. So I can take other words like attention. Come on now. It doesn't want to play nice. There we go.
Voice.
Let's just do one more definition. So fun. So there we've got another definition right there. So now, now that we have notes on this page and multiple pages, we can do the same thing that we did before, where we extracted out the outlines. We can also extract out the notes. So let's go back to our highlighting toolbar, because that is where the extraction icon is. And notice it says extract notes and highlights, right? Now I did remove all of the highlights already, but I'm going to show you what this advanced button does. So if I clicked on the advanced, and let's say I did have highlights, right, but I wanted to just make a document with only my text notes, notice here, I can turn things on and off. So I can say, you know what, I don't want to extract any of my colored highlights. I only want to extract out my sticky notes and my tech notes, and I don't want to extract any of my bookmarks, right? I just want those two things in this new document. So I click OK. It's going to go through, find all of my notes, whether they're sticky or they're the white text notes, pull them out into another study guide. Let's take note The name is changed, extracted outline 9. And we have sticky notes and text notes. And then we have our definition notes. And you can see here, we've got a really good start to a great flashcard, right? So we can, what can we do with this? We can add more to it, just like we did before. All of those same features are built right in. And with any of our notes, any of our study guides, if I go to the document settings, I can download. So what do I want to download it for? Because maybe I want this as a Word document on my computer. Maybe I want this as a PDF. Maybe what I really want to do is print this. So we can pull up a print dialog and it shows you what it's going to be printing, and we can print it. Pretty neat. Now, again, if we made any changes to this document, we want to make sure we save it. So we save it back. And there you have it. Okay, I'm going to pause right here for any questions. Anyone thinking about anything? Any ideas? Okay, I'm not seeing anything come in. Okay, so let's move on to our last part of the session. And that is saving study guides to a location. Okay, so we know that we already have the study guides that we created in our library. They've already been saved there. But like I said, where are they? So let's go find out where they are. And I'm going to show you ways that you can rename them and move them and keep them organized. Okay. So let's now go back to our Universal Library, go to the hamburger menu on the top, click Universal Library, and we're going to flash into our Universal Library. And so we have our folder, right? My name folder and our 3 default folders are private, public, and recently opened local files. Now, the recently opened local files is the folder that Kurzweil uses as the default location for any newly created documents. So you can see here this list of extracted outlines that I have done in the past and the 2 that I have done today. Extracted outline number 8 and 9 were created today. So in this folder, this is just a temporary location. Can you keep them there? Yes, you absolutely can. Absolutely can. The first thing, though, that I want to show you that you can do is that you can move them. You can move them and you can rename them. Now, why would I want to do that? Well, let's say you're managing multiple books with a lot of different classes, right? 3 or 4 classes. You've got 5 or 6 different books. You're going to have a lot of extracted outlines, and you're going to ask yourself, which one goes to what book? And instead of opening each one up to see, what you can do is you can rename them and move them. So the first thing I want to show you is I can go into my private folder and into the book that I had pulled these outlines from, and you can create folders within that folder. So you can see I've already created a folder called Notes and a folder called PDFs. And how I did that was just by simply right-clicking on that folder, brings me up a list that I can add a new folder. So for this new folder, I am going to call it Outlines. Now there's a little quirk in Kurzweil. Kurzweil does not like spaces. It does not like uppercase letters. It does not like any other symbols other than regular text. So let's say if we had named this book outlines and we typed a space and we attempted to create the folder, it's going to say, oh, you can't use anything that doesn't have A through Z or 0 through 9 with underscores. So what do I need? I need an underscore. I can click create. And now I have a folder called book outlines. And that is the folder that we are going to move our documents to. So let's go back down to our recently opened local files. All right, and we are going to take the first extracted outline, right? And we are going to move this. Now, over here on the top right, you can see some icons have now become available now that I have selected one of my files. And what I can do now is I can move it, I can delete it, or I can rename it. So let's do a rename first, because I know this was an extracted outline for chapter 2. So let's call it chapter 2 outline. Next, I want to move it to my new location. So when I click move files, it shows me my list. I can click on my folders. Just takes a couple of double clicks. There's my book outlines folder, and I can click move. And it gives me a warning. Moving this document will make it completely unavailable for further use in its current location. Are you sure you want to remove the document from this folder? And I wish it had said, and move it to the new location, because that's really what we're doing. Yes, okay. Move was successful, okay. And no longer is it in this list here, but I can quickly click over to my book outline and I can see it there, the new folder, the new file. Next is our extracted outline number 9. Now this was our document that was a flashcards, right, or definitions. Let's call it chapter 2 flashcards. And now I want to move it. So I like to show you all different ways that you can do things. And Kurzweil has recently added the ability to drag and drop, which is so much nicer than using those buttons. Let's see if it works for us today, because it can be a little buggy. But if I hover my mouse over just to the left of the name, I get this crosshairs cursor. And if I click, it will allow me to move my file, but I have to be real specific where I drop it. Notice how it is highlighting in a darker color. So when I click and release and click OK, we can check. Yes, we made it. But if you release it in a wrong location, you may lose it. So be very careful if you're using the drag and drop. That's why I actually typically use the buttons to move the files around, because I know exactly which one I'm putting it in. Okay. So that's a great way to keep things organized, keep your notes and your chapters and your outlines all organized, all within the same folder for that book or for that class. Okay. I will pause again for any questions. Seeing no questions pop up, that is the end of our session for today, as far as we're going to take it today. Topics for next sessions, I am planning on creating brand new documents and using the text-to-speech feature. I am also open to suggestions too. It's kind of loosely based on maybe what your needs are. If you have any ideas or different needs that you're looking for that maybe Kurzweil can help with, you can drop those ideas here in the question and answer, or you can shoot me an email. My email is there on the screen, msauter@saddleback.edu. That's the best way to get a hold of me, as we are still working from home, working remotely. But I really do appreciate the time that you have given me today to show you a few of the features. If there's anything that you want me to go back over, I can do that now. We do have a few minutes still. If not, then I can let you go. Okay, not seeing anything pop up. I want to thank you for joining in, and I hope to see you next time, where we will go over a couple other features within Kurzweil, getting you well versed on all of the ins and outs of the program, because it does do a lot more than just reading. But don't forget, reading is probably the first and best thing you should be using Kurzweil for, right? Get that reading done, get it done so that you can tackle these other things as well. I really appreciate that, your time, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.